we've gone back, we've looked at how to review the things that you did this year. We've looked at how you should report on the activities that you've done in 2023. Before I talk to you about developing your strategy for 2024, I want to show you how to gather insights. People always ask me this: how do I gain insights? We don't have enough money to carry out research. Google is such a valuable resource. You just need to be patient. So I'm just going to show you how to leverage Google, the kind of keywords you should be using, and where you can find valuable insight that will be useful for you. In the video on putting together the strategy, I will highlight some of the trends that I find to be interesting, but there are a lot. But I'm just going to show you how to go about your research, what keywords you need to be using, what platforms. So Deloitte, for example, they have insights. I love it. EY has it as well. McKinsey has insights. So really depends on your organization or the industry that you're operating. And we're going to just look at how you should go about doing that, and then in the video afterwards we'll look at the application of these insights and trends that you discover. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, so for this video I just wanted to show you how you can use Google to gain insights. I will do a list of different places that you can find insights, but it's not really going to be a comprehensive list because it's going to be dependent on your particular industry, your location. But this video is just going to help you with your search. Now this video is just going to help you with your search. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk you through how you should go about doing your analysis for your strategy. There's going to be external, there's going to be internal. A good place to start is the external, which is the business trends. So you will see here, I have typed in 2024 business trends because you really want to know what are the general trends and how does it apply to my organization. So you can see here that there is the one from Forbes, and there's so many. There's tech trends, business you should start preparing for. There's business predictions for 2024, and I've opened it here. And they talk a lot about AI, micro influencers. So you can decide that you want to read each of these sustainability issues, personalized retail. In the next video, I will show you some of the insights and trends that I found useful. But you read this, it gives you a general overview of what will be relevant or what could be relevant for your particular organization. Not everything is going to be useful. Not everything is going to be applicable. But at least for me, I always just like to know at least awareness. Once you know something, then you're able to decide, is this relevant? Is it not relevant? If you don't know, then you can't really decide if it's useful or it's not useful. So you can see here, 9 top business trends, 2023, 2024. Generative AI is like something that is really big. So your organization needs to have some sort of AI strategy. So you can see generative AI here. So I think this has opened up. Yes, fantastic. So you can see the 10 biggest business trends for 2024 that everyone must be ready now. So again, here we are with generative AI, and I'll talk more about this in the next video. It's something that we can avoid, soft skills and the human touch. So as you're reading it, for example, you need to be saying, how does this apply to my organization? How does this apply in the context of what we do? What I find very interesting about this particular one, if I can just highlight it. So it says we will see organizations. So in 2024, we will see organizations increasing their investment in developing nurturing skills and attributes such as emotional intelligence, communication, interpersonal problem solving, high-level strategy, and thought leadership. For me, I'm already saying thought leadership, communication. So that's something that we should pay attention to in our strategy and the tactics that we use. But I'm also thinking about high-level strategy, problem solving. How can we use communications to be a driver of this within our organization to improve emotional intelligence? Because empathy, once you start reviewing consumer trends, you're going to see that, look, empathy is going to be an even more big deal going next year. So in your role as a communications or PR professional, how can you help your organization to tap into that, to become more empathetic in the experiences that you create, how you relate and engage with your target audience? So that's why it's important. So again, I'm just showing you how you're reading these things and you're already thinking, how does this apply? What does this imply? What does this mean for me? Is this applicable in the context of Africa, in the context of Ghana, in the context of wherever it is that you may be based? There's the skills solution, there's sustainable business. This is a big one, like the conversations of sustainability, ESG, climate change is not going to die anytime soon. So you really, really need to think about it. How do we communicate ESG in this organization? How do we communicate sustainability? And dare I say, it's not just about communicating it, it's about your organization actually authentically taking these things into consideration. So it's going to be very, very important. Personalization, and we're going to discuss this more in the next video. Personalization now is not, it's not that, oh, you just do it as a one-off. It's going to be a really, really critical strategy for business growth, for increased resonance and relevance with your target audience. That one-size-fits-all approach, it needs to die with 2023. And then data economy. This is going to be super important. Data is an increasingly valuable business asset. So in your role as a communicator, how are you aggregating data? How are you collecting useful data? Do you know that you can collect data in your work that will be useful for business strategy and business decisions? So you need to think about that. There's AI-driven analytics. There's customer experience revolution. This is going to be important because now once you read the economic trends and your consumer trends, you'll find that their lifestyle shifts, there are things that are changing. What is the experience that people have of your brand, of your consumers have of your brand? And it's going to be very, very, very important. So it's something that you have to satisfy your consumers, and customer experience is going to be related to personalization. It's going to be very, very important. So how do we communicate? So it may then mean that you're not sending a one-size-fits-all newsletter anymore. It's saying, how do we personalize our newsletter, bearing in mind our internal resources? How do we make sure that our newsletter contains the things that our people want to see, read, and what they actually need, right? And then there's remote and distributed work, diversity and inclusion, resilience. There is a lot. So you need to just say, how is this relevant to our organization? And so one thing I always say for me is I always just go. So you can see I'd read these 10 business communication trends. I just skim through and read as many as possible and take notes. So give a good 2-3 hours to do focused research so that you gain all your insights, you have a document, and then you can brainstorm. You're writing down questions, you're writing down the things that pop into your mind. Now, if you now want to get very, very granular, you can then say 2024 trends in the financial services industry. So if you work in the finance industry, same thing for real estate. Bear in mind that these are global trends. Some of these trends may not be applicable for you if you work in Africa, but more and more we know that the world is becoming smaller. So it's also to think about, okay, this is not applicable, but in what ways, or it's not directly applicable, but in what ways can it apply? And Deloitte, I love Deloitte because they have a lot of insights, actually the big four. So you have insights from PwC, insights from EY, that's Ernst & Young, insights from Deloitte, insights from McKinsey. That just gives you that overarching picture of what's happening in an industry, what is the direction, what are the changes that are happening, so that puts you ahead. Remember, as a strategic communicator, you need to be able to think ahead, and these are the things that would help you to think ahead. So I'm not going to open this, but I'm just showing you that you can see top 10 financial trends to watch out for. You can see AI again, financial service, omni-channel financial services marketing. How does that apply to you as a communication professional? How do we connect or communicate with our consumers on multiple platforms? How can we better communicate with our consumers using our apps? Because usually the apps, you just come do what you need to do and get out. How do we make sure it's a place where our audience wants to be? So it's not just them coming to do or perform a function, for example. It's about them getting value. And you can see in this one, seasoned content marketing is going to also be very, very important. Marketing that speaks of value, conversion. I don't want to go into deep into it because I'll start doing an entirely new lecture, but I believe you get the point. So whatever industry, technology, fashion, and you can also check for Africa as well. What I find is sometimes you don't find as much data about Africa, and I pray that changes. We need data, but there's certain industries where you will find. And I also find that for economic trends, so you can do the same thing for economic trends. The AFDB, for example, has like economic trends for each country country in Africa. Is it each country? I believe it's each country, but a number of countries, a long list. And they also have it based on regions. So West Africa, East Africa, Southern Africa. That's something that you can also look at. And then you can look at more generically, what are the 2024 trends? So you can see we started from business trends, you went more granular and you say, okay, you know what? I just want to look at the general trends. Now, the thing with searching for 2024 trends is more likely than not, which is why I like to qualify the search. You're going to get fashion trends. However, you can see that business trend article that we had read. So I would always say, for example, put consumer trends so that the results are more tailored. So what specifically do you want to see? So public relations trends, we see AI coming a lot in that. So yeah, you can see, go for organic short form videos. This is something I will talk about as well in the next video. So you can see 2024 PR trends, and these are just different people talking about different things. Future of PR, trends and predictions for 2025, AI, authenticity and influencer marketing. So you can just begin to say, how do we want to apply this? You don't try and apply everything, no. So the idea is just get the information, see what's relevant to you, see what you can focus on based on your organization's context and what it is that you want to achieve. But I want to show you something that I found really interesting. So this organization, it comes up there. Where's that one? Okay, we've moved from there. So when we did the consumer trends, so this future consumer report, I'm trying to look for the organization's name. I know it came out in this. Here they are, Worth Global Style Network. They do this like every year, and I found it really, really interesting. This is the one for 2024, and you can access this on their website. This is the one for 2025. Because some people are already thinking about 2025, but this is what I want to show you, and here's why it's relevant. So if we go through this, so this is how, so they do like surveys. So what they do is that they get consumer insights broadly, right? And what they said is they've segmented into 4 personas: future shock, feeling of distress driven by rapidly accelerating change in society and technology, overstimulation, tragic optimism, and awe. And then they begin to like break it down. So they'll tell you what it is, and they'll tell you, so why is it important? So in 2024, we'll see the dawn of everything net. There's a great promise in meta-commerce. Rapid technology affects our everyday life, uneasiness, future shock, so everybody's now really digitally involved. So you're thinking, how does that apply to my organization? One thing that I think will be very, very useful is this concept of overstimulation. So there's a lot, and some of us, we really feel it. For example, there was a time I was thinking, I'm just so heavily distracted, emails here, messages on WhatsApp, on Telegram, and whatnot. And you're going to find more and more people want to detox and unplug. And so it's to say, okay, if there's a sensory overload and there's this desire to unplug, what would that mean, or what is that implication for our organization? They have the tragic optimism. They have, so it's to read it about stress and anxiety, fear of normal. It's a really interesting, it's 34 pages, but it's worth reading. I like all because they're telling you how to create awe-inspiring moments. So in your consumer experience, how do you create things that bring a jolt of joy, energy for your consumers? So thinking about your content, thinking about the experiences that you create. So all of these things, like I said, is really just saying, how do we apply them into the work that we do? So the regulators are people that say, look, you know what, there's so much going on. I want to decide, what platforms are engaging. But if they decide to go off, for example, TikTok and Instagram, how do you make sure that your brand message still finds them? How do you make sure that they make the conscious and deliberate choice to look for your content? Because that's what it's going to be. I really do believe that we're going into a stage where organizations need to leverage their own channels, their own, e.g., websites, blog posts, podcasts, things that are off the typical social media platforms, because as people detox, they're going to decide, I want to go on this. I want to click www.xbrand.com because I will get useful, valuable information. So you can now then begin to think, okay, how can we leverage some of these things? So engagement strategies, for example, they've put there. So you will find this really useful. Voice commerce, so for every persona, they're telling you how you can possibly reach them, strategies that you can use to engage them. So it's something that is worth reading. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Same thing with the 2025 one. So they just put them into different groups, what's going on, what are their concerns, what are their fears, because at the heart of your organization's business work that you're doing is the consumer. So you want to be able to understand what are consumer concerns. And if you do economic trends, we're going to see cost of living crisis. Now, I don't want to do a generic, but at least we can do a generic one, because you want to look at what's happening in the global economic outlook. So like the IMF, for example, has the World Economic Outlook. If you're in Africa, the Africa Development Bank, so the AFDB, you need to go there and look at their economic outlook. That would also help to understand. Yeah, it's actually number 2 here. So this is Nigeria, but they also have for other countries as well. That would just help you to know, okay, inflation is rising. What is the implication of that? I know you're not an economist and all of that, but these things are important in creating your strategy, because if inflation is rising, cost of living is rising, disposable income is shrinking, what this means is that your consumer has less money to spend on buying your product. So that you need to think about, right? Okay, so another thing that I found, so this is their website, so you can find reports and certain insights that you would actually also find useful. And then here is Consumer Trends 2024. Please look through what is relevant to you, what is not relevant, and then take the insights that are useful for you. I got this from the National Intelligence Council. This is a bit long, but if you have the time to burn, I mean, I skim read a lot. So usually I will go to the executive summary. So this introduction, for example, is running you through the key themes. So if I know key theme number 1, so there's global challenges, fragmentation, disequilibrium. If I see something that is interesting, I can then skip to that chapter, because I don't know that anybody has time to read 156 pages, but these things are worth it. See, the time you spend doing research and gathering insights, it will add so much value. It also opens your mind. I find that when I do research like this, it gives me a lot of ideas, because I'm thinking, what are the implications? Oh, this is happening. And information is so empowering. So I encourage you to do this research, gain some insight, even if you don't have money to carry out like consumer research on your own. There's so much value, and this is just a snapshot. There's so much more that you can actually Google. If you want to look at social media trends, for example, you can see what platforms will be the top platforms for 2024 to focus on. You can see now there's something called social VR. So remember now that, okay, what's social VR? Well, how is that going to be important for my organization? The interest for TikTok will increase. Product placement will take over influencer marketing. So you just, okay, product. So I'm already even thinking, by reading that product placement, how can I collaborate with maybe somebody that's doing regular content and then have some sort of product placement? So as they're doing their YouTube series, for example, or their tutorial, they just drink a bottle of water and it's my product they're drinking, something, I don't know. So you get what I mean? It's like, it just opens your mind to just explore possibilities, and then you can hone in on what to apply best for organization. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to take these insights that you've gained, then you do the external analysis, then you do the internal analysis, and then you begin to work towards building your communication strategy based on the content that I've shared previously in the bite-sized comms course on strategic communications and the comms planning process. So I hope that you found this useful. Thank you for watching.